Hello everyone, Graham Smith from Voluntary Japan here. It's been a while. I don't even really want to make this video, but I kind of have to. It's just inevitable. Watching what's going on now with Trump's recent, or Drumpf, I should say, Donald Drumpf's recent cleanup of Washington D.C., and I was sucked into the conversation again, even though I've been trying to keep myself out of it and focus on building a alternative voluntarist lifestyle. But it seems like every now and then there has to be a reminder about the concept of property. I saw this one influencer's video on social media stating that what Donald Trump is great by threatening to jail homeless people once they kick in their tents if they refuse to go to rehab or go to a shelter, even though there's not enough room, not even close, in Washington D.C. to house all the homeless people. But regardless, they're saying you will go to jail or go to rehab or do this, that, and the other. The point that's being overlooked by these Trump supporters is that these are still free people. Not all of them are druggies, and even if they are druggies, that doesn't mean they don't have rights. That doesn't mean they were never taxpayers. But the root of this whole problem is the idea of public property, which is an anti-concept. It's a communistic concept. You can read about it in the Communist Manifesto. This idea of public property simply doesn't work logically, and it's the reason that these awful situations are created. I also don't want to live around drug addicts shitting on the road or worrying about my children stepping on syringes. Of course, that's an evil thing, but I think, like a lot of people and this sort of MAGA licking influencer, they're missing the main point, which is that statism is what really creates these situations or creates the environment that engenders these situations. And without a clear concept of property, this will never be solved. And the Zionists at the top of the power pyramid will continue to keep us fighting against one another and bickering about this. So public property is an anti-concept. It doesn't exist, and I can explain that really clearly, really briefly. Property requires exclusive use rights. If there's not an exclusive use right, then there's no property. For example, my car is my property because I have an exclusive use right to it. I exclusively get to determine who uses it, when they use it, what it's used for. It's my property. Public property, on the other hand, is a communistic anti-concept because it assigns an abstract collective called the state as the owner. Now, the state is simply the entity that has a monopoly on violence in a given area, and it's a collective. So, even though we say, well, okay, we all own the public library. Well, no, we don't actually. The state has commandeered this. It's extorted us to pay for this building and this edifice that we can use according to the state's terms, and that is to say, a few individuals who have elevated themselves above the rest of us arbitrarily and say they get to determine how our extorted money is used, and then further how the property they build ostensibly with that extorted money is used. Now, even if I am a super upstanding taxpayer, I can't go just put up a tent in the library and camp out for a night if I want. Not doing drugs, not doing anything. I just can't use it how I want. I can't even, I can't. I can't resell the books. I can't. It's not my property. If property is really there, then I have an exclusive use right to it, or at least a defined partial use right that I can exclude others from. So maybe I get this one corner of the library, or I can hold this set of 20 books, um, you know, for myself and not allow anyone else to check them out. So public property creates chaos. It's created the whole immigration crisis and debate. It's created the whole current thing about homelessness, which is nothing new really. Like I suspect he was a Zionist. Rothbard talked about, unleashing the police and stuff like this. And there are homeless people that are war veterans. There are homeless people that are not heroin junkies that fell on hard times. And even if there's only one case like that, that, then it deserves a rethink, does it not? And even if people are hardcore junkies, druggies, well, we can't put the moral lens on it, and that's putting the cart before the horse. We have to think of the individual rights. Now, has that person violated anyone? Even if they shit on the sidewalk, has that shit resulted in a physical violence or violation of someone else's property? Because it's public property and it's basically no man's land. It's no one has exclusive use rights. So it's a kind of a moot point, and the whole root of the whole problem is public property, and the whole answer, as per the voluntarist philosophy, would be to have a universal property norm for everyone that doesn't elevate any individual arbitrarily above another. There's a ground norm. Property stems from my self-ownership. Every individual, regardless of background, owns themselves, and thus I own the property that my body produces or homesteads or creates or receives in nonviolence. That's a sensible definition of property. And people recoil at that and nitpick and find some possible problem. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, but that's about as logically sound a construct as you could create in any given society, and then have your society apply that concept. It's going to minimize violence and minimize potential violence. Now, when you have public property, it maximizes the potential violence, and these Judaistic Zionists love to see chaos, love to see us fighting one another while they fuck us over and fuck us in the arsehole, pardon my French. That's the whole design. There is absolutely nothing conservative about what Donald Trump is doing right now, and actually it's quite Gestapo, quite Orwellian, quite whatever fascist, quite whatever violent authoritarian label you want to put on it. It is that, because yeah, I'm in a tent on public property. So what? Maybe I paid taxes for years. If you wanna even allow the statist myth that taxation is legitimate. Okay, let's just allow that for the sake of argument. All right, I paid taxes for 30 years here in this district. Why can't I use the property too? Because I'm a partial owner, right? No, you're not. Public property doesn't exist. It's the whole basis of the border crisis and debate. The two sides, the false binary, the left, right, the Republican, Democrat, the child traffickers on either side, they say, oh, look at these evil people coming in here. Meanwhile, they are the ones trafficking children. They are literally the ones dealing drugs. It's been proven. They are the ones introducing the drugs. They are the ones creating this shit, fucking nasty, bullshit, evil society where nobody can thrive because they're making everyone poor with their debased, devalued crap shit, garbage fiat currency, not allowing anyone any opportunities to start businesses because they got licensing rackets that'll shoot you in the dick before you can even get started, not, literally killing and maiming and disabling people with fucking injections of poison, fucking toxins in supposed medicine and food and water and air. And they're winning because they got people like this jackass I saw on Instagram. I mean, he's young. Hope he figures his shit out, and I don't wish him any ill, of course. I mean, hope. But just saying bullshit that he knows nothing about. The whole reason for the whole problem is that public property isn't a thing, and it can never be a thing. And no, nothing will ever be perfect. However, the voluntarist position is the most logical way to do things, because it's the only logical way to minimize violence by giving each individual the same property ground norm that they've got to live by. And that means I can also defend my property. And no, it's not just the police that can use violent self-defense. I don't call self-defense violence anymore because it's not a violation. It's defending your property, your body, or your property. Until every individual has the same right to defend themselves and their property, it's empirically going to result in the psychopathic slice of the population, the psychopathic segment of the population rising to the top. It's a no fucking brainer. It's a no-brainer that the statism and public property empirically, logically, objectively potentiates violent conflict. And if our goal is to minimize that, and it sure as hell better be if we want peace, then the only answer is to have a sound definition of property. And not even everyone would agree on that, every community, but as long as the basic idea is there, people can live and let live and do what they want. But right now, people say, no, we got to club each other over the head with this club called democracy, which is literal mob rule. It's hard to talk today. I'm not speaking as clearly as I want to, but had to make this video because it's so obvious. And what's going on now is going to degrade into more Orwellian surveillance, control, ID cards to fight illegal immigration, definitions of homelessness. It's not illegal to be homeless either. And there's nothing violent about being homeless either. So this is a Gestapo tactic. And I literally, I just said literally like the fucking Instagram influencers, fuck. There would be, these people are the violent ones. The politicians are the violent ones. And we have a right to be propertarians and to defend our property and our lives. And when these people encroach on us and aggress against us, and they are a cancer on the planet, and it all stems back to the root myth, belief that so many believe that there can ever be some sort of chosen people, chosen ruler, some character that must be obeyed, and that we must subjugate our own critical thinking and logic to. That's the cancer that causes this shit. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace, love, anarchy, voluntarism.